on this episode of Raising the Wild Ones podcast.
My name is Kurtis Browning, and currently I do a podcast called the Equipped Podcast. Also record the episodes on YouTube, and kind of the mission and vision of that podcast is to know, grow, and go. So it's very discipleship based.
Now, Abraham Lincoln, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Have you? This is.
What other Lincolns do you know?
Steve Lincoln, the guy who owns the deli down there.
Yeah. No, well.
Really direct your children towards those biblical principles, worldview, all of that. So I would say, it's all got to be Bible-led, and it needs to be discipleship-led. I mean, you really got to, and I think as parents, it's hard to look at this, but we're raising our kids to one day leave.
Raising the Wild Ones podcast.
Hi, I'm Dustin with Raising the Wild Ones podcast, and we're interviewing stuff here. And Caleb, he's your friend. Take it away. I mean, he could be my friend too. I don't know.
Yeah. Curtis Dustin.
Hi, Curtis. I'm Dustin.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Curtis.
Today with us we have Kurtis Browning. We go a ways back.
We do. Long ways back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is weird. We've never done a live podcast before. We are doing our first where we're interviewing somebody in person, and it's interesting. So this will be fun.
Hey, but it's working.
It is working. We're
working.
As long as we get to the end and there's sound, we're good.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
see, computer shows sound, so I think we're going to be just
good.
fine. I hope. I don't know. So okay, what did you want to do? The tests, right? I think
Let's figure out who Kurtis is
Okay,
first,
that's a good idea.
and then
That's
we'll
good.
do that. Then we'll go into some tests. We're
Alright.
gonna test Kurtis. I may test Dustin too on one of them. We may have, yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, we'll see. It may be fun. So Kurtis Browning, we go way back. We go back to college. I don't know exactly. I can't remember when in college we met.
Mm-hmm.
But I lived across the street from y'all, and that was back in my wilder days. But so you knew me at an interesting time in my life.
Oh.
Yeah. But I will say, we always talk about you as far as being somebody who always stood to their morals and always held true to who they were. And you may not feel like you were like that. I don't know. You said earlier you were still trying to find yourself
Oh, yeah.
at that time. But
I'm very far from perfect.
yeah, but we always, you were always the guy who was, no matter what, was smiling and happy and always tried to steer us in the right direction and make sure we were, it felt like you were trying to keep us out of trouble. Anyway, so you can tell us a little bit about yourself and about your podcast and your family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So my name is Kurtis Browning, and currently I do a podcast called the Equipped Podcast. Also record the episodes on YouTube. And kind of the mission and vision of that podcast is to know, grow, and go. So it's very discipleship based. From this podcast, I hope that people first and foremost get to know God, leads them to salvation, that they grow and mature in their faith, that they're discipled, and they're equipped to a point that they can turn around and go disciple others as well. So very much my heart is set on discipleship. I would say, when I met Caleb, I was in college going to nursing school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Had some great times together. I mean, it was an amazing time of getting to live life together. And you ended up, I had the honor and privilege of marrying you and Jessica.
Yeah, you could say my kid, you can make an argument that my kids wouldn't be here if not for you.
Well, I'm pretty sure y'all would have gotten married anyway.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
No, I just won't say anything. Just continue.
Made it awkward. Sorry, continue.
No. But it was awesome, and just getting to share life with you during that time. And ways we've grown apart. I mean, just separated time, kids and family. But you're always one of those people that when I meet, it's like we haven't skipped a beat.
Yes,
like it hasn't been 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And one thing I'll say, at our wedding, there was a picture of, you may kiss the bride and we kiss, and you can see like the bridesmaids and they're crying, and then you are just like the biggest smile on your face, and you're like the happiest person in the world at that moment.
That was y'all are still to this day the only people I've married.
Really?
And y'all are still going on strong, so why marry any other people?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Let's stop on a perfect record.
So you retired from that. That's
I had a pastor tell me that if you just do one and they stay married, you got 100% success rate.
That's right.
So like if you do two and one of them gets divorced or something, that's only 50%. So you're
still getting
100%. You're 100% success
Wow.
rate right now.
Don't let me down, bud.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure.
Pressure's on. Kid.
Hey, but you can still get in the Hall of Fame with a 500 batting average. So just
almost spit out my coffee, kid. Like all over my computer.
oh man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, so I haven't met you, but he sent me some of your like podcasts and stuff, and so I've listened to a few, and especially your YouTube, which is really cool. So I just kind of like you've got a nice setup. I always wonder like how it would look like if we recorded like YouTube stuff. It'd just be random stuff in the background, like, and you're like all professional looking, and it's good stuff.
Well,
I like it.
It's
I
like
enjoy it.
I'm really in a corner of a room, very contained. So like I have like when you have 3 kids, like I have maybe 5 feet of space that's mine, and so you're seeing that. 5
So you have
feet
3
of space.
kids?
I do.
So do we all have 3 kids?
We all
we
have 3
do.
kids.
We all have 3
We do.
kids.
Yeah. It's a lot of kids.
Yeah, it is.
I really like when Christian
we
people
have
have a
field
bunch
a
of kids.
baseball team.
We
You
could.
could.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like when Christian people have a whole bunch of kids.
Yes.
You know, it's cool. Yeah. I was gonna say something else, but now I can't remember what I was gonna say.
It's fine. That's okay.
It happens. It happens quite a bit.
That's okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, so what's this line item that says tests here, Caleb?
Okay, so we do have some tests for you, Curtis.
Oh gosh.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
do you have?
I
Okay.
got some.
So the
tests.
first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna say some dad jokes,
Okay.
and you have to try to make it through without laughing.
Oh gosh.
And
you're
already-
asking the wrong. I love dad jokes.
I know. So that's why I figured we would do this, because you're like you're always smiling and you're always laughing, and
Okay.
I figured this would be
So
hard
try
for
your
you.
hardest.
So yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I got one. Okay, now you ready?
Okay.
Why can't a leopard hide?
Why?
Because he's always spotted. He's trying really hard. I see a little vein popping.
I do.
right
I'm probably gonna. My lips are probably gonna be bleeding by doing
Yeah.
this.
Your lips bleeding. Lips bleeding. Okay. Did you hear about the 2 radios that got married?
No.
The reception was fantastic.
Oh gosh. Sorry.
That was way better than mine. I gotta find a better one now.
Oh, I
That
thought
was
you were
very
gonna.
fast.
I thought you were gonna like gentle me into this, like not go for the knockout immediately.
Man, that was quick.
Done.
Okay. I got a good one. How do moths swim?
How?
They use the butterfly stroke.
Okay, sorry.
See, mine are really lame. Like, I think Caleb's going for the kill here, and mine are just classic lame dad jokes.
No.
You're 0 for, you're 1 for
Okay,
3.
I gotta do better.
You could still potentially make the Hall of Fame with a 333.
Okay.
But okay. Why did the scientist remove his doorbell?
Why?
He wanted to win the Nobel Prize.
I started laughing at your laugh before you even said
Yeah.
the punchline on
That
that
was-
one, Caleb.
It's it's y'all's delivery. It's not just the joke itself.
We'll count that as a not laugh, but he is
Yes.
crying a little bit for those of you listening.
What is a dolphin's favorite country?
What?
Finland.
I love to laugh too much. This is not good. I love humor.
So what, we're 2 for 5. Okay. That one's. Maybe this will be my last one. Okay, this one may. This may be
I
the.
laughed at that one reading it, so we're doing it.
What do you call a Roman leader putting on clothes? I figured I'd do Romans Bible.
Yeah.
Roman leader putting on clothes.
What's that?
Caesar dressing.
I shouldn't have laughed at that one, but I did.
What's bad is my wife's gonna have to hear all of these when I get back.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Why do seagulls fly over the sea?
Why?
Because if they flew over the bay, they would be bagels.
Oh god, I'm KO'd with that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Bagels.
Do you have any dad jokes that you like to say off the top of your head?
I don't really. I think I'm more goofy humor. So
Yeah.
just being goofy with the kids. I really don't have one off the top
Yeah.
of my head.
Okay.
I
Now.
like to tell people that I used to work for orange juice factory, but they canned me.
That's a good dad joke.
Yeah,
right there.
because I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
So test 1, you failed.
All right.
Did you make it into the Hall of Fame? Like, what was his average there? You're like apparently you're coming up with averages off the top of your head over here, kid.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Not good. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to listen.
I can take it. I can take it.
Test 2. Curtis is very good at singing a cappella.
Oh gosh, no.
Oh, really? How about you sing
No.
"Go Tell It on the Mountain"? That's a good a cappella song.
Oh gosh.
You really don't have to. I was just kidding.
Oh well, I was about. This is your show, man.
You were
so
about to?
I was about to.
Do it. Let's hear it.
No, I don't want
No,
to.
okay.
now.
What about "Happy Birthday"? Everybody knows "Happy Birthday."
Yeah, I'm not very much of a singer. When
We-
the Bible says make a joyful noise,
It's a noise.
it's a noise.
It's a noise. Yeah. We have a life group and we get together, and every time somebody mentions singing, I'm like, all right, let's hear it. Let's sing.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of everybody, they're like, no, this is terrible.
How that works.
Okay.
Just randomly sing.
So the next thing we can do, I've got some Bible trivia questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now,
See, I didn't
Dustin.
get that paper.
I didn't
Exact-
get that either.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. So Dustin, do you want to be in on this too?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know how we do this. We don't have bells or.
We could just do like one at a time.
Oh, we go back and forth.
I've got 7 questions I printed.
It's game time.
So we want to go back and forth, or do y'all want to like see who can answer it first?
See who can answer it first.
Okay. What's
Okay.
the sign that just hit it?
Hit it or raise your hand.
Okay.
Something. Raise your hand. Let's do hand raise
It's
so
a,
I can
it's
see
a
that better.
podcast. Hand raising
Okay.
doesn't
Yeah.
really work. You're like, nobody can hear
Nobody
that.
can hear that.
Okay. All right. Hit your mic.
Or we could do it, but
Hit your
whoa,
mic.
bam.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do that
Yeah.
because that would you're somebody who ears would bleed in a minute if I did that.
Because both of y'all have been to seminary,
Kind of.
kind of,
Technically.
In the process.
in the process.
Process, yeah.
Yeah. So Kurt, you didn't mention that earlier, did you? You're in.
No, I'm in seminary. Felt the God calling on my heart when I was 21 to start heading in that direction. And it's been a long road, but
Yeah.
I'm supposed to. I graduate in May. Supposed to. I don't want to say supposed to because that's negative. I need to have the focus. I
You
am going to
will.
graduate.
You're going
Will
to graduate in
graduate
May.
in May.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Question 1. Y'all ready?
Okay.
These hard questions.
I didn't know several of these. So,
Okay.
Oh,
okay. All
gosh.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
of what wood was Noah's Ark made?
Was it acacia?
No. No.
That's the Ark of the Covenant.
Beaverwood.
Gopher wood.
Gopher wood.
Go for
Oh,
wood. Go for wood. Yeah,
I
there you
was
go.
going-
You got it.
Was the Ark made of acacia wood? Was that one?
The Ark was made of acacia
Okay,
wood.
cool. Is that a question?
The
on
Ark
there?
of the Covenant. No,
if that's
it's
a
not.
question on there, I call
I
it.
hope it's not because I just said that. And I know that because my kids play. They haven't played it in a while. Minecraft. And
Oh.
acacia wood's in there, and I'm like, that sounds really familiar. Where's that? And they're like, oh, there you go.
Like, oh yeah, right there.
Okay. Now, question number 2. Who won that one? Dustin?
Yep.
Okay.
Kind of.
Question 2. What was the first of the 10 plagues in Egypt?
Oh gosh.
The river to blood.
Yes. Got it. Okay. Which, if y'all don't initially get it, I will go A, B, C, D. on
Okay.
this. So we're I'm going to start writing
Oh,
these
we're
down.
making notes now, 1 for 1.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You know what you get
He's
if you
got
win?
a seminary degree. I just got a master's degree.
Yeah.
You know what
so-
you get if you win?
What?
Nothing. Absolutely
I
nothing.
was like, do we get to pick something in your room
Well, I
here?
feel
I'll give you a high five. Yeah, you can.
I'll take a high five.
Yeah, high five. All right, question 3. This one was tough. Couldn't remember this one. What was the height of Goliath?
Oh, cubits. So many cubits. I shouldn't have answered that one because I don't know. I just know cubics. 6 cubits? No, 9 cubits. 9 cubits. I don't
Final
know.
answer?
9 cubits.
That's wrong. Okay.
Oh, okay.
In other words, how giant was the giant? That was the rest of the question. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Is
had to-
cubit at least in there? I feel like I've said the word cubit a lot now.
Do you have the answer
I
in
do.
cubits or by feet?
cubits.
Okay.
So cubits is part of it is in cubits. So A, 6 cubits and a span. B, 7 cubits and 2 spans. C, 9 cubits and a span. D, 5 cubits and a span and 3 spans.
I want to say 9 cubits in a span.
That's your answer?
Yeah, let's go for it.
That's wrong.
What
Oh,
is it?
7 cubits in a span?
That's wrong.
6 cubits in a span?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 cubits in a span.
I was about to say, if I missed it by a span, I was going to be upset.
6, yeah.
That's a
By a
technicality.
span.
I do not remember how much a cubit is.
Cubit's 3 feet? No, it's not.
I could look it up real quick. Y'all talk for a second.
Okay, we're going to talk for a second.
All right.
There's a dog howling in the background.
My dog really likes to
Really
howl
likes the
at trains.
That's definitely going to be in the podcast.
That's
I know it.
awesome, though.
So about 9 feet 9 inches.
Maybe that's where I got the 9 from.
That's where I was.
Nine-
That's where the
9
9
feet.
Yes.
from. What's the NIV
So
say? The NIV probably
this
says
was-
it's in feet.
That's the NIV. Yeah. Now, one thing I'll give a shout out to your podcast. You talk a lot about, at least in earlier episodes, about different translations. You go into that in like a lot of depth.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So
on
it's
how to
pretty good.
pick out a Bible translation and even how
Ooh, that leads me-
translations are developed.
I would have
Yes.
a question for you on that, but we're not there yet, so
Okay.
I'll save that question for later.
You want to? Yeah. So we can get into all that, whatever y'all want to get into, of course, here in a little bit. But okay, who won that one? Are we gonna say Curtis? You answered
Curtis won that one.
No, you can't. They can't. That'd be a technicality.
Yeah, I'll give it to you on a technicality.
that. Okay.
I said the word cubits a lot there.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it was. Okay. Question 4. There's 7 questions, by the way. So this is
Okay.
question 4. Who restored Paul's sight after the Lord blinded him?
It was. I want to say.
You want me to go into the multiple choice?
I want to say Cornelius, but that's probably not it. I don't know why that name's in my head.
That's not it.
Ananias.
Ananias.
Ah!
That's it. Wow. Okay.
That was actually a consideration for one of our children's names at one point, but
Really?
the wife completely shot it down as soon as I mentioned
Ananias.
it. So.
Yeah.
Are all your kids named like biblically?
Actually, so my eldest is Lincoln, so that's more historical.
That is a little
My
historical.
middle one's name is Tenet, but that's more doctrinal. And then my daughter's name is Laurel, which means victory. So there is a meaning behind
There's
all
a
of
meaning.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Abraham Lincoln, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Have you? This is.
What other Lincolns do you know?
Steve Lincoln, the guy who owns the deli down the
Yeah.
street.
No. Well, there's this ridiculous book, and me and my dad read it a long time ago, and it was actually really good. But Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Slayer.
Oh my God. Didn't they make a movie out of that?
Yes, they did, and I don't know if the movie was very good. I don't remember.
There's like a whole bunch of historical books, either vampire slavers,
Yeah,
like zombie killers.
but it
It's
was
a
like-
series, isn't it?
Yeah, I think something like, I don't know. I only read the Abraham Lincoln one, but it's like he goes around and he like does all his normal stuff, but then at night he goes out with an axe and like kills zombies.
Oh my gosh.
Vampires. Anyways, yeah,
Chopped
I don't know
down
why I
the
just
cherry
thought of that.
tree. Now it's time for me to chop down vampires.
Yeah. It's one of those extremely ridiculous things
That's
that
awesome.
is fun to. Anyway, sorry. Question 5. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
What does Paul say is the fulfillment of the law?
Does Paul say it's the fulfillment of the law? Love others as you love something. It's
Love.
Love.
Love
Ding,
is
ding,
the answer.
ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, love.
Love.
Love. Paul. Yeah, and it says that in Romans 13:10. I guess I could have been given the Bible or like the verses
Oh, but
for.
see, then I could just look it up.
Yeah.
Could Google it.
Yeah. I mean, after I tell you the answer, not before. Yeah. Okay. 6. Who were the children of Israel, how were the children of Israel guided in their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness?
Oh.
By a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Last question, and Curtis is the winner.
It's like
But you
there's
still
no
got a
way I
chance.
can win, right?
No way you can win.
So
It's
this is like my lame duck presidency, right? Like I'm not gonna win. I
But
can't
yeah,
even
you
run
still-
again.
You can't run again.
So
but you
whatever answer I throw out
So
works.
you're going to hit it as soon as I start talking. And Jesus is always the answer, right?
That's
Oh,
the
see, I
good
already hit it, and you didn't even answer the question.
Okay. Last question. What is the whole duty of man according to Scripture?
Jesus.
Kinda.
Hey, I'll take a kind of.
kinda.
Are we talking about purpose of man?
What is the whole duty of man according to the scriptures? Now, I will say this came from Ecclesiastes,
Oh, so it's Old Testament.
Old Testament.
I want to say bring glory to God,
Yeah.
but that may be.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's
that'd be
kind
more
of.
Lindsay would definitely know
theologically-
that, and she could. My wife could say that, and I'm kind of kicking myself because she's going to listen to this and be like,
Yeah.
Dustin, why didn't you say it? She calls it the chief end of man, and it's the. I could text her right now, and she'll tell me.
Yeah.
I'm going. Here's to you, Curtis.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and tell you the answer. Well, actually, okay. A, be fruitful and multiply. B, love enemies. C, take care of the earth. Or D, fear God and keep his commandments.
That's D.
There you go.
It's D. There you go. So y'all kind of, I mean,
We
your
were
answers are-
theologically adjacent.
I mean,
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
Jesus, so my first answer was Jesus. So I
Yeah.
think I was still way off.
That's always the correct Sunday school answer, correct? Like, right?
I don't know. I was in youth ministry forever, and you don't know how many times somebody would say Jesus, and you'd be like, "No, you're wrong."
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Jesus is right. Good answer, but we're definitely not talking about that at all right now.
I'm pretty sure I was the kid at some point in school. I wouldn't know the answer, so I'd write Jesus and then argue with the teacher about how that is the answer.
About how that's the answer.
But
He is the central focus of all Scripture, so you can eventually lead all the answers back.
yes. So okay, on that comment, and you may have studied this, or a couple of our first podcasts, we talked about in the Old Testament the angel of the Lord.
Ooh.
What do you think? Is that? Do you think that's a Christophany? Do you think that's?
That is a good question. How, in what particular text?
We'll say wrestled with Jacob, right? Who wrestled with Jacob?
Oh, okay. So, like,
was
is
that
this
like-
a Christophany?
Was that like Jesus in manifest in human form before Jesus, or was that just?
I think scholars would be pretty split on that, but I think there's a case for a
You're a scholar.
Christophany.
I'm saying you're a scholar.
That's
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's the same case like with Joshua when he goes out and there's someone there, like he goes out one night before a battle and there's a figure there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there's a good case as a Christophany.
Or like say Abraham and his wife, the three guys, the three angels or three men come, and they hear Sarah laughing because they're going to have a child. Then they go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, that like that. I think that's
Shadrach,
another example.
What, the fourth person?
Shadrach,
Meshach,
Meshach, and Abednego.
So I think it's definitely, in my opinion, definitely an angel or a Christophany. My only hesitation would be the use of the word angel,
Yes.
which could, I mean, angel is a messenger. So, I mean, it's how are we using the word angel? So
Yeah.
that'd be my 2 cents.
And that is something we were not even prepared to talk about this morning. So
I was about to say, is this whole podcast turned into how can we catch Curtis?
No. It kind of seems like that so far.
What weird questions can we ask to make
And he's
him
doing
go?
really good. You're doing really good.
Okay, now I will say, can I ask my question now? So
Yes, get after it.
You said Bible, whatchamacallit?
Translation.
So one of my studies is Greek, and so I did like absolutely zero Hebrew. So, but what's your favorite Bible translation then? Like if you were preaching tomorrow, which I am. Now it's gonna be like if you don't say the one I'm gonna use, I'm gonna be like, man, I need to use that one. What would be your go-to translation to preach from?
I think naturally, at this point in my life, the ESV.
ESV.
Because I like how it ties in the Greek, but I feel like it flows like for the common reader or listener. I love the NASB, but sometimes you'll have the language that's a little bit difficult to understand just because of its focus. I think if I was, it kind of depends on your audience. I think the Christian Standard Bible also is a really good beginners and stuff, but at this point my go-to is the ESV, and that's what I teach off of on the podcast.
I totally got given an NASB. It was when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and I love that Bible, but I hate to preach from it. Like I don't know why. It's just like because I trip up my words when I'm trying to like read scripture, and I don't know.
I'll
It's
say every
focused
time.
on that formal equivalence of the language. So Greek to English doesn't always flow
Doesn't
so well.
work great. Yeah.
I'll say every time I've preached, it's been no. That sounds weird. The one time I preached, I did the New King James Version.
Oh, love that word too.
And I'll say the reason I did was because that's what our preacher typically preaches from.
Yeah, you do have to take in mind if you're filling someone else's pulpit, like what are the people used to hearing? Because that's the Bible that they likely are carrying with them to church.
Yes.
Well, and I know there's a lot of probably not news a controversy, but the NIV. There's issues with the NIV, but that's my go-to preaching. I mean, that's what I'm going to preach out of tomorrow is the NIV, because majority of the congregation I'm preaching at has the NIV, because that's what their pew Bibles are, and that's what they put up on the screen, like when it's doing it. So I'm not reading something different that they're not looking at.
Now, and you talked about like the what'd you say? Like the problems, not necessarily the problems, but the controversy, I guess, with the NIV is basically in how they translate.
Controversy really in a lot of ways will be the new NIV instead of the old
there you
NIV.
go.
Because I won't lie, the NIV I'm preaching from was 2001. And it's a Bible that I've had since I was a wee little lad. And so the new one, because we looked at for our kids, so we look at Bibles for our kids. We CSB, right? That's what I think we got our kids.
CSB. It's it's the more popular.
Yeah, I think we ended up kind of going that way for Levi. But it's like now they're trying to make it gender neutral, right? Is that what they're trying to do?
And more so like when it says he did this, instead of he or him, and you could correct me on this, it's more of they.
Yeah, from the last time I looked with some of the liberal, I mean, there's a lot of bad translations out there. And there are also a lot of people that are that there are good translations, but trying to have their take on them as well.
Yes.
And kind of pass them off as something they're not.
Yes, and so we had a podcast a while back where we talked a little bit about this. It was one of our first 2 or 3, but I will say if you go back to your podcast, I don't know how long ago it's been a little while. But if you go back in your feed on your podcast, the Equip podcast, it's got tons of information on this.
Yeah,
and it goes like way more in depth than we did. So it is in some of this stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah.
What about the word on the street? Have you ever heard about that translation?
Oh my gosh. You could probably do a whole episode on just all the different
Genesis 1:1. I don't know if I can get through it.
Okay.
Genesis 1:1, the word on the street. First off, nothing but God. No light, no time, no substance, no matter. Second off, God says one word, whap. That's it. It says whap. W-H-A-P. Whap. Stuff everywhere. The cosmos and chaos, no shape. That's the whap right there.
Wonder if you can hear that train.
You hear the train. It says just darkness, total and floating around it all. God, Holy Spirit, ready to play. That's what it says right there. That's Genesis 1:1 in the word.
Is that
on
like
the
directly
street.
from the Greek? I don't speak Greek, so I don't know.
That's my favorite. We started talking about like weird bad translations. That's like one of my favorite go-to bad translations. And there's someone out there who's like, "That's my Bible." I know it, but
Yeah.
Okay, it's a fun one to read, but maybe not study. I'll say that.
One thing, when I was going through, you sent me, at some point before I was preaching, you sent me that website where you can like see the Greek translation, the literal translation, and you have a Bible like this, and you've shown me too, where it's like, it's hard to read because it's all jumbled, but basically, I had the NIV and the New King James Version sitting there, and combining those two together, it was like, in combination, it was really good. Like,
I love the Greek, but it is bad straight translation into English. It is, because they jumble all their stuff around, and it's their verbs aren't in the right places where we put them, and so when you translate it, you almost have to reformulate the sentence. But then, in a lot of ways, it's really neat just to see the Greek of what was important in the verse compared to when we read it today, and maybe what is not necessarily put the emphasis on in our own Bibles. And it's interesting to see in the Greek, this word right here is the importance, but yet when we read it, it's just kind of like an adjective,
Yes, yeah.
But it is bad. Like one of my professors that taught me Greek, he will preach, and he does pulpit supply too, but he preaches straight from the Greek. He's got the Septuagint, which is the Old Testament,
yes,
and then he's got the full Greek Bible, and he preaches from the Greek, so he translates on the fly while he's preaching. And it's one of the coolest things to see him do.
So much credit for those guys that know it that well.
He'll tell me, if you ask me to translate Greek right now, it'd be 20 minutes later, I'd be like, I got it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the Greek stuff, and then I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. So it's
It is
yeah.
it is a jump because I think like what you mentioned, like when you get into those other Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, it's not just that it's another language, but the syntax of how they formulate a sentence is everywhere.
And Dustin's told this to me quite a bit, where certain words mean things, and they have like the tense of the word is even very important, and I can't pick that up.
Because they have past, present, and perfect. They have perfect tense in Greek. So you have past, present. There's 4 of them. I'm a terrible Greek guy. You're good. Do you know what I'm right? It's past. There's a perfect tense. I know it's one of them they talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I naturally they say if you're studying the Bible in its original languages, one will come easier for you than that. It's going to be a challenge either way, but Greek comes a lot more natural than Hebrew. My last semester, this next semester, I'm taking Hebrew too, what I've put off for a reason. But I mean, with Hebrew too, now you have to deal with working sentence. You really instead of reading left to right, you read right to left.
Yeah,
and so it's like, ugh.
You're going to be able to preach and like pull out the big scroll.
Yeah. Let's say I'm going to know enough to help me in preparation to preach English.
Yeah.
We had the choice. We had to take 4 classes of either Greek or Hebrew. And my chance, I was like, most people did 2 and 2. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to take as far as I can all into Greek. And so I have you look Hebrew, and I said, well, it's all Hebrew to me. Because I have no idea.
That's fun. Oh. Well, biblical parenting.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be talking about today, but we haven't been. So now we will.
All right.
You want to what is your qualifications for talking about biblical parenting?
Qualifications? Oh, my gosh. I am a parent. And
that's
I am
enough.
a Christian.
That's all you need.
And check.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I think it is. So like qualification, I would say more of a responsibility. I think anyone who's a parent has the responsibility to raise their child in a Christian worldview, biblical based worldview. And you don't have to have a seminary degree to do biblical parenting.
And that's one thing when we kind of started this, we talked about is, Dustin wanted to talk theology a bunch, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel like I'm qualified for that. But then you start thinking about it, it's like anybody, any dad, every dad should be a theologian.
Yes.
Or every dad is a theologian. Talking about God, studying God's word, teaching your kids, that's theology,
Absolutely.
And so it's important for every dad. And I think you're just a little behind us as far as your kids' age. But we were talking earlier, we all have 3 kids. So Dustin, I think, has the oldest kids.
We got 12. Man, come on. 12, 10, and 8. It's an even year. So it's weird because when the first one turns 13, it turns into an odd year. So they're all 2 years apart. So they're 12, 10, and 8 is mine.
Yeah. And
so I'm about to have a teenager.
That's scary.
Oh boy,
we'll be calling you for advice.
Yeah.
No, and I'll be like, I don't know what's happening, man.
Yeah, and so we're just a little 9, 7, and 3, and you're just a little.
Yeah, I'm 6, 3, and we'll be a year in February next year. So whatever those months are.
Yeah. So we're 3 dads that have 3 kids apiece. So we were talking. Was that on the podcast when we said we could have a softball team?
No, baseball team. Softball.
Baseball.
Softball's probably better because, if the dads wanted to play,
exactly.
I don't want to run very fast. Yeah. Softball's good because I could be the guy that hits one of the 3 homers a game or whatever.
But then one of the dads always ends up breaking a leg or something, sliding.
Dude, quick youth ministry story. One of my favorite, I was in youth ministry. We were playing softball behind the church. So you haven't ever been to our church, but there's a gym, and back behind the gym there's a big room, big deal. We used to play softball back there. You could hit it into the cemetery, which was great because people were hopping the cemetery stuff. But I had a dad who slid into home, dislocated his shoulder, tore 2 or 3 tendons in his shoulder, and it still has a big bump and looks weird. I sat at the Thanksgiving banquet thing we had just the other day. I sat right by him, and I touched his shoulder, and I was like, man. And he goes, yep, still like that. And I'm like, so you play softball with a bunch. You're right. Somebody's gonna hurt themselves.
Right.
But he was more concerned about the point being scored And he's like, did I score the point? And I'm like, bro, your shoulder's out. And he's like, yeah, I know, but did I score it? I'm like, it looks really bad, man. And he's like, it's like you got two heads over there, dude. But did I score?
It's like, yes, buddy, you scored. You did.
Yes, you scored.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We can just be coaches. We'll just coach the kids in softball. That'll work.
Yeah. So I guess a good kind of first topic to talk about in this is how do you create a culture for your kids? That may be a good one. It's not on your sheet
That's
there.
a big one.
I didn't write that down. How do you create a culture in your family so your kids grow up in a Christian household?
I think a big part of that is as a parent recognizing that first and foremost, you're not just called to raise your kids, but you're called to disciple your kids. And so culture of discipleship or biblical parenting is not just going to be about teaching your kids biblical principles, which you need to be doing, but also a big part of that is you living out those things in your day-to-day life and taking those opportunities to really direct your children towards those biblical principles, worldview, all of that. So I would say, it's all got to be Bible-led, and it needs to be discipleship-led. I mean, you really got to, and I think as parents, it's hard to look at this, but we're raising our kids to one day leave. And we want them to be fully equipped in the faith for when that day comes. And we've got to be very intentional with discipling them and preparing them for what God has for them.
That's a good point. That kind of makes me sad, though.
It does. I mean, it's sad. But I mean, like, it really,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Preparing them to leave, yeah.
there's a reason. I mean, we have them for so long, but ultimately they're God's, and God has an ultimate purpose and plan where He's going to take them.
Yeah. And Dustin, you said something in Sunday school one time that made me and Jessica think a lot, and it was really good. It was something along the lines of your mission field, your first main job, your main discipleship is your kids, your family. You said something like that. I don't know if you remember.
Well, and I know for me, so I was in camp ministry and full-time camp ministry, worked at a camp in West Texas. And one of the things with that taught me there is that, my job is not my main priority. Because it was very, hey, you got to go do this. Hey, you got to be out really late. You got to take care of all this stuff. And which is good stuff. I mean, it's camps. I mean, we were telling people about Jesus through these camps, but it was like the family is number one. If we're not ministering to our kids or our wives, then why are we doing what we're doing if we're not taking care of number one? And then it's kind of I saw the illustration where it's like you pour into one glass and it overflows into the other glasses, and it's like, and as you fill this glass, it'll overflow and it'll continue to overflow. But it's kind of like where are the priorities? And it's interesting because you start talking about dads, and it's hard to see, like, just kind of, we were talking about like at a softball game or whatever, like seeing the dads when you go to a kid's softball game, and like half of them are just kind of frustrated at their kids for not playing well, and it's like, man, some kids need encouragement, and it's just, they don't need to be told maybe sometimes, catch that ball better. But, it's like, it's kind of where our priorities are as dads, and then parents, and then husbands. And, it's just interesting to think about and kind of work through. And in all honesty, and I'll say, I learned that the hard way, and by not making those decisions where they needed to be when I was at the camp. And so that's why I am now. And that's why I say those things, is because there was a time when I didn't do those things. And now it's like, no, these things have to be a priority. And so,
yeah. And especially in today's world, as crazy as it is out there. I mean, you turn on a TV and there's all these ideals. And even your kids go to, an elementary school, and you think, especially like in Central Texas, you think, oh, there's no, they're not going to see those kind of things, but they see them on a daily basis, and I won't even mention it all, but crazy things. And you're like, you have to prepare your kids to run into those things and how to navigate those things. And, we're having to have talks with our 9-year-old when he was like 6 or 7, things that we should never even be talking about. But, it's one of those things that, as a Christian parent, you're going to have to prepare your kid to deal with those things. And we talked to Bobby, the missionary, a little while ago, and some of the crazy things that he has to deal with, which it's in Africa, and he's surrounded by, a lot of people that believe in Islam, practice Islam, and there's a lot of stuff there. And some of the things that they have to talk with their kids about and prepare their kids for is insane.
Yeah.
You know.
You make a really good point, and it was something I was thinking about driving up here, and it's something I've thought about a lot. You know, most sociologists agree that where we're at here in America is a post-Christian society. So several generations before, you know, our culture and our society in a lot of ways was all on the same page, pushing towards Christian morality and principles and worldview. And that's just not there anymore. So you can say, you know, several generations ago, you kind of had this little stopper or this little cushion that, you know, if you were not intentional in the home, you know, at least the skull is pointing them towards Christianity or the culture in of itself. Well, that is no longer there anymore. And in fact, you know, we have the exact opposite where schools and culture itself is actually making direct attacks against that. So, I mean, as a parent, especially in our day and age, you can't sit on the sidelines anymore, and you can't expect someone else to do it.
You know, and sitting on the sidelines, that's a good point because, you know, me and Jessica a lot of times think it would just be so easy to sell our house, go live up in the mountains, stay to ourselves, raise our kids as best we can. And then, you know, was it you that mentioned like, I may not say that.
Oh, go ahead. I mean, it's fine. Like,
and I don't remember if that was you or not. Like you, or maybe that was Jessica.
You always get into like, I think I know what you're going for because you always get in those conversations of like, what are you gonna do when World War III happens? And I always make the comment of, I'm gonna move to the woods and I'm gonna hang out by myself and just.
Well, then you're
chill,
like,
right?
no. Then the comment was like, when your kids are old enough, and you go into town and get them a wife and bring them back up.
Go get them, bring them away from the
Back to
mountains.
the commune.
And then you're like, well, that's kind of the commune, and that's probably not
Like going to town once a year, pick up your 50 pounds of rice and your feed for the chickens, and you head back up there.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good point.
Kind of makes me feel weird since I just sold my house and I'm buying property out in the woods.
Out in the woods.
We'll check on you.
It's not that far in the woods, all right.
Yeah. So how as Christians should we navigate that far in building a commune by ourselves to living in the world?
Good.
That may be a good point.
Yeah.
Where should Christians land? Living in the world, sending your kids, say, to public school, doing all that kind of stuff, being in the world with sinners, which we're all sinners, but being in the world, being surrounded by sin versus completely separating yourself and not being around anybody at all.
I think, as with many things I've learned as I grow and mature in the faith, is a balance in the sense that, you know, we only have 18 years with them and we need to protect that time. And especially when they're young, you need to be protecting your kids as much as you can, laying down those foundational things. You know, when they hit the teenager years, we're giving them a little bit more rope. Once that foundation has been set, and then they move on to adulthood. But I do think you have to be protective, but also understand the reality, you know, God has a purpose for them and he's going to use them. And so there's this balance of being aware of the dangers, but as a parent, not being terrified. Like, it's something you can't do in and of yourself. You're going to need God to help you accomplish this task, but also not to feel sorry for your kids because God knows the world he's bringing them into, and he's got a specific purpose for them. I always remember a quote, and you know that on Facebook you always see like, oh, I feel so bad for these kids that are being born during this time, or even as a parent living in the times we can or that we live, you know, do you feel bad bringing a child into this world? And I remember a quote that's like, you should never feel bad for raising dragon slayers in the times when dragons exist.
Yeah.
And that God has a plan, a purpose. We need to do our due diligence in raising them and preparing them. But at the end of the day, you know, they're going to have to leave us at some point and interact with this fallen world.
I mean, I like that. That's real interesting. My dad used to always tell me, you know, growing up, and then that's something I tell my kids is like, be prepared to fight the dragons as they come. And he said, you know, he always talks about and And I never really took much stock into it till I really like dove into like theology and kind of went through college. But he would always say like, where's the armor on the back of us in the armor of God? He goes, there's nothing on your back, Dustin. He's like, it's all the front. It's all, prepared. And he goes, yeah, you got a shield, which is a defensive weapon. So sometimes you hunker down and you take the blows. He said, but you don't turn and run.
Absolutely. I love
that. And he'd always tell me that. He goes, it's different. You don't turn and run because the, dragon's going to get you. He says maybe you hunker down and you take some blows sometimes and you let the shield protect you. But he goes, then you pull out your sword and you start to fight back. And I like that, be prepared for the dragons. Because that's
cool.
That's what my dad always said. He says, sometimes the dragon will burn you, and that's okay.
That's so true.
And I was trying, I don't know if this is it. I was trying to find, that verse. Isn't there a verse where it talks about you were born at a certain time? First, maybe, I don't know.
That's the guy who's got a seminary degree.
This one.
He won Bible trivia.
I was trying to find it, but this is Psalms 139:16. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. So I was thinking, I don't know if that was a quote. I thought.
Well, that ties in directly what you're saying. I mean, God knows what time. He understands the times. And
yes, and that you kind of get worried a lot about, well, yeah, these are hard times. How are we going to raise our kids? But God put us in this specific purpose for this specific, or time for this specific purpose, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So, how do you? And your oldest, you said, was 6, so you may not quite be to this point. Go about sharing the gospel with your kids.
Oh gosh. Well, I think actually my 6-year-old in October made the decision to follow Christ. So
awesome.
I have some recent experience in this.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I think, it's, you start the gospel from the very get-go. I mean, you don't put off talking about Jesus to a later age. Kids pick up a lot more than a lot of times we give them credit for. And so a lot of that's going to be being intentional, reading the Bible with them, encouraging those principles. And I think even at a young age, you're already laying down the framework for the gospel, talking about mercy, talking about grace, disciplining your kids so they understand the reality of consequences.
We'll get into that one next. That's
okay, awesome.
One. Yeah.
But those foundational things you're doing in your discipling, now I do say, when your child does show interest and that they're wanting to take that step of faith, as a parent, you want to share the gospel and understand the decision that they're going to make. And yeah, it's going to look a lot different because it's going to be like a childlike faith depending on what age they come to know the Lord. But, understanding the purpose in which Jesus came, the knowledge of sin, repentance, and all of that. But really, it's going to be how you live out from the very moment they enter into the world. Start giving them the gospel.
And one thing I'll say on that, even if, let's say you're listening and you haven't started and your kid's 15, start now.
Start now.
Another thing is our middle son was 6 when he accepted Christ and got baptized. And you as a parent, it's pretty easy to go through kind of the thought of, well, is he ready?
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you kind of think about that as far as, say 6, 7, 8 years old? How do you know that they're ready for that actually understand what they're signing up for and what they're,
this was something that with my 6-year-old that I really struggled with. And I mean, if you want to feel when your child comes to you and says they want to make that decision, it almost takes your breath away because you want to do what's best to nurture them in the right way to make sure. And for us, when my child first brought it up, a lot of it began with questioning, just making sure that he understood the decision. He understood why Jesus needed to go to the cross. He understood who Jesus was. He understood the process. And, we have this little graphic that we have at home that we went over. And so it was really a process over several days. And looking back in hindsight, and it's probably just because I'm more theologically minded, I put him through the ringer.
Like the test is on Friday.
But I mean, just asking questions, making sure that there's an understanding, and I think as a parent, if you're asking questions and there's something missing, don't just get discouraged, address it, and it may just not be time yet. But I really think the biggest thing is just understanding. They understand sin, why Jesus came. They understand that they're a sinner and that they need Jesus, and that they understand that the way moving forward is belief in him. And I think for us, since we've been Christians for many years, understanding that their faith is going to look a lot different from our matured faith, in the sense they're going to have that childlike faith. And a lot of times we question that childlike faith because of our maturity.
Yeah, and
we forget that we started that way.
Yes, and we were kind of at that point where we were like, well, I don't know, is he ready? And then somebody at the church told us, like, just, it's fine. It's going to be okay. He understands why Christ died for him. He believes in him, like all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be good. And we're like, it kind of made us feel better as far as, I don't know. I don't know what we were really worried about. It was more just, is he old enough?
Well, as a parent, you want to make sure, you want to make sure that they understand what's going on, and, you want to nurture that, but at the same time, you don't want to hinder that as well.
Yes.
But I do think, asking questions, but, also realizing as a parent that in the reality, in the big picture of things, they don't belong to you. And this decision, and I think this is the hardest part about being a parent, is this is going to be between them and God throughout their whole life. And the sense that we're going to disciple them, we're going to be praying for them, but what's God doing in that heart? Only He knows.
It's their decision.
It's their, yeah.
Oh, so that's kind of, because I agree with all of that, and we're kind of in the same spot. So our oldest and middle, they've both given their life to Christ, but our youngest, he's 8.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in there.
He's an age at those points right there. And he's at the point where I guess as parents, we're struggling with the idea of, he knows the answers and he knows the right, but we're not totally sure he's made the commitment yet. And so it's like we're kind of cutting this deal where he's seen brother and sister do it, and so we've walked through with that. So he's like, well, I want to get baptized now. And it's like, okay, bud, but do you understand what that means? And I guess it's different with the third, because with the first, it was like he got it and he understood. Now with the third, it almost feels like he knows the answers. He could tell us all the right things. And I kind of like what you said, because it's kind of making me sit there and think of, well, it's not up to me. I mean, I don't need to be a roadblock to that either. And I don't know. Now I'm going to have to go sit here. Now I'm just pondering, am I being a roadblock right now?
No, I mean, that's the way I kind of, I mean, I think there's a balance. You want to make sure they understand, because you don't want them just to be getting baptized and saved because their friends doing it. But at the same time, you also gotta. I think that's the hardest part. Let me just say that when we were doing that with my eldest, I kind of let him take the lead, in the sense of, okay, this is what the gospel is, and just kind of giving it time. And then the next day, hey, Dad, I really want to get saved, and like going through the questions again. Letting him take the lead, and just being like, okay, if you want to make this decision, we have church tomorrow, you need to bring it up to me. And sure enough, he brought it up again. So so I mean, like, God's doing stuff there and it's going to look different for every kid. Because it's uniquely their journey with God.
And like our 3-year-old, as soon as after our oldest son, but he was the second one after he got baptized, our 3-year-old was like, I want to be baptized.
Yeah.
It's like
my middle child right now is like that, and he's 3. It's like, we're getting there.
Yeah, it's like,
let's talk about sin tonight.
Yes. And then he walks in and punches his brother in the
face. Wait, Dad, there's a pool at the church? Hold up. I want to go swimming.
It's heated?
It's a hot tub at the church?
So that's fun with those little ones like that.
But I think you made a good point, like with prayer. As a parent, you're just praying that's a really intimate time as a parent, just leaning on God to guide you through that whole process.
And you've made me think a lot just in this conversation about, I don't think a whole lot about they're not my kids and they're only here for a short time. And I try not to think about that.
No, I get it.
But yeah. But you've made me think about that too. So thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Sleep good tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
As the camera pans to Caleb laying his bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling.
Oh, man. That's funny. Awkward silence.
Awkward silence. It's the best part about a podcast.
Yes,
it's
it
awkward
is.
silence.
You can cut that part out. Then it's just like no awkward silence.
Or not.
But we
I
talk
don't
about it. So you mentioned one thing about discipline.
Ooh, yes.
Let's talk about discipline. Now, I'll start this out by saying I really like to read Proverbs 13:24 to my kids. My oldest son, he does not like it. So Proverbs 13:24, whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. And I've also used, the word Cain and Abel, that story. And then there's a verse we've read in Sunday school, but there's a verse in somewhere in the New Testament, I didn't write it down, where it's like, don't be like Cain who killed his brother, and talking about hate, having hate in your heart. And so I use that. I'm like, when I hate you, the kids say stuff like that. And I'm like, then I use all this, to try to discipline the kids. And then I don't know if it always works. It's kind of like you use Bible verses to help discipline, and then they get mad about it. And anyways, but
it's called conviction, boys.
Yeah. So I like to read the spare the rod. He who spares the rod hates his son. And my kids are like, I don't know. But let's talk about discipline for a little bit.
Man, the one part of parenting that nobody likes, and definitely in our culture, is probably the most unpopular. But I think with disciplining, you've got to remember as a parent that it is an act of love. I believe it's Hebrews that talks about, God disciplines those who he loves.
Oh, yeah.
Disciplining is a sign of love, and it's love. You're redirecting that person. I know in our world today, everybody looks at discipline as like child abuse, but there's a big difference between abuse and discipline.
Well, I also think we're getting into a conversation of discipline and punishment. I mean, there's a difference even in just those two things, And so, I mean, how would you go about, because I think the world, especially when you start talking about just general, what the average person is doing to discipline their kids is more or less along the lines of punishment.
Yeah, like reactive
to what they've done, and then you do this, and then it's over in 2 hours, and you go on about your life and never speak of it again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and that's part of discipling is part of disciplining your kids in the sense that you're directing them. The punishment part, or what we like to call, spanking them, whatever you want to call it, that's the redirecting part of that you're trying to impute upon them and teach them to take that route. But yeah, it's not fun, especially in our world today that it's not very popular.
Yeah, you spank your kid in the middle of Walmart, you may get some dirty looks. My wife one time, it was in the middle of church, and one of our kids was doing something, and so she's taking him out like right down the middle aisle, right in the middle of church. Everybody's standing up singing, and he did something, and she just reached down and spanked him walking out the door, and several people like started clapping. Somebody gave her a high five. It was like, so that's good. But,
you talk about the world. I was in Walmart, and I had one of my kids, I can't remember who was, kicked the other one, like straight up, like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm kicking. It nailed her.
Yeah.
And I had to like stop, and I'm like, guys, we don't do this. And like, there's this one lady just watching me the whole time. And after I was done, she was like, you were too harsh on your kids. I was like, they don't need to hit each other.
Yes.
We can't just let them like, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hit your sister. Like, no, that was bad. But you provoked it a little bit too, and it's just weird because the world we live in I hate to say it, but my dad whooped me pretty good, and it's just different. And even like talking about like punishments for my dad's dad and different generations compared to here, it's a fun topic.
Yeah. I always tell people the difference between abuse and discipline is abuse is all about you. Like hitting or you're spanking because you're frustrated, and discipline is all about them. You're redirecting.
Yeah.
So it's very much out of love. But it's interesting you brought up, I was also thinking about discipline driving up here.
Yeah.
Lindsay and I, when this past summer, we went on a vacation, and it seems like every couple of years there's this new model or methodology to parenting, and it was talking about that currently there's this methodology of gentle parenting.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up, but I couldn't remember what it was called.
But it's kind of this idea that your role as a parent is to be a bystander. You provide for your kids, you protect your kids, but you don't try to direct them in any way. And so there's no discipline. And we were listening to this podcast that was talking about it, and this Christian child specialist went to a seminar. They were talking about gentle parenting, introducing that. And it was actually one of her Christian friends was actually implementing that into how they were raising their kid. And she was talking about how it was becoming a hindrance to that child's reception to the gospel, in the sense that they went to church. They were getting ready for Easter Sunday. Child was asking, why is this a big deal? And that child was having a hard time grasping why Jesus had to die on the cross, because that child had no idea of consequences. Yeah. And so they could not bridge that gap. And that's why one of the things that I would encourage people in regards to disciplining your children is that it relates so much to the gospel in so many ways. When your child really deserves a spanking, but you see that they're exhausted and this was just a slip up, and you give them grace, tell them what you're doing. Like, hey,
preach it, brother.
You deserve this. You deserve this, but I'm showing you grace. This is what God did for us, or showing you mercy, or everything like that. So, I mean, discipline in a lot of ways ties back to the gospel, and it's all part of biblical parenting.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of comes back to, we parent every aspect all day, every day. And Christ needs to bleed through all of that, not just the parts where we're reading scripture with them, or even the parts when we're frustrated and we're irritated, but like showing grace and just, we need to allow it to bleed through every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
And every moment can become a teaching moment.
And like in my life or my family's life, when we're not listening, let's say we're listening to just regular music. We're not listening to Christian music when we get in the car, when we're, which now we don't really have TV. We got Netflix, but like you're not watching, say, Christian shows. You're not listening to Christian music. You're not trying to live that aspect every day of your life. You skip a Sunday, then you skip another Sunday, and then you're not going to Sunday school. You're not reading your Bible. It gets real easy to get out of that mindset of I need to be living this life and slip into the worldly life. And then you go, and then you tell your kid, I'm not going to make you do any of this stuff, but I want you to receive the gospel and be live this way. It's not going to work because we're all sinners. We're all, and I believe we're all sinners from it. It's natural. It's probably more natural for us to sin and do those things than it is for us to live a godly Christian life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to steer your kids down those paths to get them back to that Christian life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's gentle parenting. That doesn't. I don't want to do that.
I really like that. I like the definition you gave of gentle parenting, because I don't think I've ever heard it worded better than that. And
that wasn't my own definition, but
I'm saying it's your Kurtis definition.
Right? No,
listen, 5 minutes ago.
I don't need copyright infringement.
We get around that on this podcast by instead of like actually saying it, we just. We just say something very similar, but not quite.
The showed shod mic?
Yeah, showed. Yeah, that's.
That was like back to like episode 4 or whatever.
Yeah, we get around that pretty easily on this.
We're really good with copyright twisting.
Yeah. Oh man, so which we're not quite there yet, Dustin. You're probably the closest to this. Cell phones, social media, all that kind of talk.
Man, we're really rough when it comes to cell phones, and we just want to talk about fighting that fight. My son wants a cell phone real bad.
Yeah.
and because everybody else has one. But I mean, you talk about protecting your kids, and I mean, one of the things we really haven't talked about a ton on the podcast, but I mean, you give the kids a cell phone, and if you don't have it properly locked down, which sometimes those locks are so easily navigated around, then all of a sudden the world is at their fingertips, and like, pornography and all of these, big things, especially for me. I mean, I got an older boy. It's like, these are the things when you talk about protecting your kids. It's like, he's upset because he's like, well, I want a cell phone because all my friends have cell phones. And I'm like, good for them, man. But like, I'm sorry, bud, but we're not going to allow you to have that kind of access yet. And the time will come, but it's like, I mean, it's hard because you sit there and you get a lot of it like because some of his friends, I know their parents. I mean, they're good parents. And it's like, man, I'm glad they made the decision, but I just can't, in good conscience, expose him to that just influx of, because you talk even about social media. Social media is completely and totally self-driven. I mean, it's all about my image that I want to put out on the
it's
internet.
The devil.
It's the devil. But it's like, and even along those stuff, like, do you let your kids have those, and how do you go about that? And
Jessica said, which she saw it on social media, but it was that saying, everybody except me gets to do this. Everybody except me does this. Everybody has a cell phone except me. Well, you're an exceptional kid.
Oh, gosh, that's a good way to turn it around.
You're an exceptional kid. Everybody's going to have that except
a burn.
You. That was a Trump impression. You'll miss it.
I mean, it's just, social media is interesting,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun one to navigate because, it's even like, it wasn't a thing when we were young, but it was a thing when we were in our teens. And MySpace, anybody remember MySpace?
Oh, yeah.
MySpace. And it's like, but now it's just such a big part of everything.
Yes.
It's like, this is probably a good time to say, hey, you guys, you should like and follow our social media pages, Raising the Wild Ones on Instagram. Yep, do that.
Hey,
right?
we could,
it's like,
we could start a massive trend. Everybody join our social media and Equip Podcast social. I don't know if you have one or not. I'm not on social media.
He doesn't have it all.
Yeah, I don't have any of it. Join it, share it with somebody else, get them to join it, and then delete all your social media. No, that wouldn't work. That's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
I don't know.
Walking a top.
But it's interesting. It's because it's like with podcasts and stuff, it's like, you gotta, I guess you share it. That's how you get more viewers, listeners, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, so it's like, it's a necessary, like, I have to do it. But even to the point where, like, now it's like, because Caleb over here doesn't have a social media. I'm pointing at him right now.
Yeah.
I am the social media guru, which I don't even really do anything. It's like, I post up and it's like, I really don't want that to encompass my entire life. And it so easily can. Because even like small things, like last night I was watching a show and I was like, oh man, we do Rednecks Read the Bible. And it's like, I didn't post about that on Instagram. I probably should do that. And so for the next 15 minutes, instead of watching the show, I was on my phone. And I was like, Lindsay, my wife, is just right here. Like, what am I doing? It's like, why am I so focused on this when it's okay if it doesn't happen? Because it can just creep in. And it's hard kind of with kids because kids don't necessarily have, you could get into the whole psychological, like, brain development where they can just get sucked into reels, like, wham, and they're just
and then
gone.
they get addicted, and then they can't function without their phone in front of them watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you made a good point. Like, it's something that you struggle with.
Yeah.
And we struggle with. Now you're giving that to a kid who's not fully developed. Like, it's social media can be a great tool, but any tool used the wrong way then becomes a weapon.
Yeah.
And just like
I'm writing that down.
You made a good point. Like, it really is, anything attached to the internet, it's a doorway to something else. And there's going to come a time where they're going to be mature enough to handle that. But as a parent, you need to guard that because it's one of those doors that once that door gets open, it's a lot harder to shut it once it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of like being a teacher. You have to be a strict teacher to begin with, or else they're going to run all over you. And it's really hard to get that back into settle down halfway through the year than it is at the beginning of the year. So if you let your kid just when they're 12 years old and they say, mine at 9 years old has said he wants to have a phone. And like, no, which it's not quite probably as bad as what y'all's, but it's like, if we said, yeah, sure, gentle parenting, hey, you want a cell phone? Here you go.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know, and that can turn into, it can be bad quick.
Yeah.
You know,
that goes same with discipline. You know, you putting off disciplining your little kids and wait until they're teenagers, like you've already like
you're way behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't try to implement that. I mean, if you are in that environment, I do encourage you need to start implementing it, but just understand it's going to be a lot more difficult than starting it off from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an uphill battle. I mean, it's an uphill battle instead of trying to get ahead of the problem. Mm-hmm. You know.
But social media, I think, you know, in our and it's not even just teenagers. I have a 6-year-old that sees his friends with iPads and wants to have an iPad, and it's not the tool in and of itself that we're afraid of. I mean, iPad can be a good thing. You can put the blocks on it, but there's in the back of our minds is always that, you know, it just takes one little door being opened, that one little block or that thing we didn't think of.
Yeah.
And so we've kicked it down the road, and every time he wants one, that's a conversation we have to have again. And but I mean, such as parenting.
Well, and I mean,
it's not easy.
Yeah.
This gets really interesting because it's even like we get conversations from my parents. They totally listen to this podcast. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But
Thank you for listening, Mom.
Thank you for listening, Mom. we totally get questions from my parents like, when are you going to let them have cell phones, or when the kids go over to their house, they let them play games and stuff. And the games aren't bad on their phones, but it's like, but I don't necessarily know exactly like, well, what's the ad that's going to pop up on that game, or what's going to happen here. And it's like, maybe it's just because I'm a paranoid millennial, but it's like, where is this going? What's happening here? And then it's even the little things of my parents who didn't grow up with cell phones at all, you know, got them later in life, but yet we're sitting around watching TV and everybody's on their phones. And it's like, you're still struggling. Like, we all struggle with these things. So why give it to our kids who are going to struggle with these things when we can actively try to fight our own struggles and maybe even show the kids in our own time, like, hey, because I've had a talk with Levi, like, Levi, I struggle with this. Like, I struggle with this. Sometimes I struggle with just sitting there on laying in bed, just swiping through reels or something because I think they're funny. But it's like, I struggle for this. And what psychologically, it's like that next dopamine hit. It's the next hit of like happiness or funny or comical. And it's like, if I struggle with this, Levi, I don't want you to struggle with it too. And I want you to learn through my struggles of, hey, bud, I'm trying to fight this. How I want you to fight this too. Absolutely. And this isn't I'm a jerk dad. You know, it's like, this isn't I'm a jerk dad and you can't have a cell phone, or I don't want to pay for you to have a cell phone. No, it's not what it's about. It's deeper and it's bigger, and it comes back to your protecting our kids from everything that's out there, which is a lot sometimes.
And I would say, as a parent, like, I think there's, you know, you go into that parenting, you know, as a parent, every parent wants to be their child's friend, but you're first and foremost their parent.
Yeah.
And, you know, by implementing biblical parenting and discipleship parenting will enable later down the road for that friendship to be there when they're an adult, because when they look back on it, they see you've implemented the discipline. Because right now, I mean, in their, like you said, like you take away the phone and stuff like that, I mean, they're seeing it from their current standpoint, but it's going to look a whole lot different when they've grown and matured and look back on it.
I'm like, oh man, I didn't need a phone at 12. At least I hope,
or you
right?
did that because you loved me, and now I see that, and that makes our relationship together so much stronger than it would have if you had not stood your ground.
Yeah.
You know, and that Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that's really, that ties in perfectly to what you just said. You know.
Can I ask you all a question?
Sure.
No.
What is...
Just kidding.
You said no. I guess you can ask me a question.
No. So when it comes to disciplining, you know, what is y'all's idea of, like, in regards to punishment? disciplining, what's your weapon of choice, so to speak?
A lot of times we go to spanking.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's sometimes when, like, let's say they're getting in trouble for hitting, and then you spank them, and then you're like, well, then you have that thought of, well, he was in trouble for hitting, so I hit him.
Yeah.
You kind of think about that. But we did this past year, we got our kids a couple of them switches.
Uh-huh.
The Nintendo Switch.
Oh, I thought you meant
back in the day, a
Nintendo
Switch
switches.
was something you picked off.
I know.
Tree
I
and
thought
they
you
would
let
deal
them
with.
pick out their own spanking device.
No,
Discipline them.
I knew
well.
somebody.
Right.
I knew somebody when I was younger. They made their kids make their own paddles,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so they got in trouble. Then they had to make a paddle. Then they got.
Yeah.
My
swiped
dad
with
always
it.
tells the story about was his grandma or his mom or something like that told him to go get a Switch, and he was going to be a smart aleck, and he got a giant tree branch, and he said, and she beat me with that branch.
Yeah.
And that's like,
So copyright Nintendos. Yeah. Yeah. So we got that, and then fairly quickly realized like this probably wasn't the best idea, and kind of going back into the cell phones and stuff, which it's just a game,
Yeah.
there's no internet access. We didn't do any of that. It's just a game like Minecraft
Yeah.
or Mario, but you quickly run into, okay, well, they can very easily get addicted and play this way too much, so, that was fairly quickly like, okay, we need to use this as a discipline tool. Like, hey, you're doing this, you're not going to play your Switch today.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to give you a little bit of time this afternoon to play it. You better act right,
Yes,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So
it's weird when you start talking about screens, like, and I can see it that like if my kids have a lot of screen time, they turn into little jerks. And it's
for
like,
sure.
and it's just weird because it's like, I mean, we used to have a Switch, we still do, but it died, and I'm a great parent who hasn't sent it into Nintendo to get it fixed or whatever.
Those copyright
Or
laws.
copyright laws are easy to get around, I guess. No, that's probably shouldn't mess with them. They would probably peg us. I'm gonna get an email. That's gonna be like, hey,
You can
redact
tell them, thanks
that.
for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Share
But it's
it on
like
your.
we see that through that, and so we can like tail that back, and it's like the more time my kids spend like outside in the backyard climbing trees or just messing around, it's like they turn into decent human beings, and they turn into people who just want to be kind and considerate to each other. Y'all are like passing notes.
Oh, sorry.
They're totally passing
Yes.
notes.
Well, yeah, I'll say it in a minute. Continue on.
and it's just like it's interesting because I mean, like when they were younger, when our kids were younger, yeah, we actually did a thing called booty booms because it sounds funny, I know.
Yeah.
But it's like my oldest Levi knew what boom meant because he would go boom the dog and he'd whack the dog and he'd go boom, and then so we started saying, if you don't watch it, we're gonna boom your booty, and he's like, what? And it kind of clicked.
Yeah.
And so when they were younger, we used that. But it's like, man, it's a whole lot easier for me to sit down and be like, okay, Levi, here's this punishment. And this is, the issue. That's what's going to happen. Here's your parameters. And that's the one thing when you use those type of things, have set parameters. That's the only thing that we've really learned.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, for sure.
if you're going to take away the device or whatever, it's like, don't just take it away for an unknown amount of time. But it's like, we're going to take it away for 4 days or 5 days. Or,
And as the kids get older, like you said, as they get older, you can kind of more have actual conversations with them about, and maybe they can reason a little better and like, hey,
Well, and it comes down to trust. I mean, that's one of the big things, like with our oldest. It's like, hey, you do this, you've lost some trust. And so now we won't allow you to do this because of the lost trust. Because it's like the one thing now, as our oldest goes hunting, he goes hunting with me. And this year, hopefully, if everything goes right, it's going to be the year he gets his first deer. And so it's like, well, okay, bud, but man, gun safety is very stinking important.
Yeah.
for sure.
And it's like, and so I've taught him this, and it's like, but if you do some things, like while we're hunting, or even like little things, or make jokes, it's like, bro, you lost some trust there. And it's now I don't feel like I can hand you that gun, with a bullet in it when we're going hunting. It sounds something little, and in your mind, these two things aren't related, but they are, and it's like, like your main tool of choice, I think, changes with age,
Absolutely.
because even our youngest, like, yeah, we do booty booms every once in a while, but even like I see it now, just about the time they hit 7 or 8, it just almost starts to fall off. And those things, don't really, the only thing that my wife does is deliberate disobedience, require, if they're deliberately disobedient is when the punishments really like come into play. And it's kind of depending upon the levels and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Lindsay had, growing up, an if-then chart. She had a chart that was like, if you did this, then that happened.
Oh, wow.
Which was really neat, except most of it was like 3 whoopings, 8 whoopings, 4 whoopings. It was just like,
Sounds like my kind of parenting.
It's just interesting. I mean, it's just fun to think about.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I really had written down, peer pressure. How do you, and we're all, you're, again, Dustin's a little more in this world, but peer pressure, teaching your kids to avoid peer pressure because of their commitment to God and Jesus. How do we handle peer pressure as dads, teaching our kids to navigate that?
I think a lot of peer pressure, you're establishing that biblical background, but you're also establishing what the correct idea of what identity means, in the sense that, like in our world today, identity is all about you, what you want to be, your dream, whatever you want to do. And it's really raising your child to have that mindset that it's not always about them. It's all about God. And when you raise a child that always takes into account their relationship with God before they think of themselves and before they think of others, I mean, that's the ultimate goal in helping us deal with pressure. Peer pressure is there's not, I guess, that incentive of longing to be like everyone else, but understanding who I'm supposed to be in God.
For sure. Now, I've got a
For sure.
for sure. It's a good one. I'll read Deuteronomy 6, 5 through 9, and it's on your sheet there if you want to follow along. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. I think mind. I may have typed that wrong. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. I don't know what that means.
They'll be between
Curtis?
your eyes.
They'll be between your
Yes.
eyes? Yeah. Sorry. You shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. I like that. Now, and say, like in the Jewish tradition, don't they, like they do certain things where they like put scriptures in a little box? Maybe that's what it was. Put scriptures in a little box and wear them on their foreheads, and then put that same type of box.
Reminders. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But
That's a good set of verses. Just talk. I mean, that really verse captures the environment of the home. Is that literally, even down to the material things of the home.
Yes, every aspect.
Every aspect is pointing back to God and aligning with God's truth.
I bet you all could preach a sermon on that.
I bet you could
Maybe
too.
you can. You can, Caleb.
Yeah, you picked the verse, bud.
Sounds like God laid it on your heart.
Well,
You got any other questions for us or anything like that? We've talked about a lot of different stuff.
Well, I just want to thank y'all for having me. I mean, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and it was fun. It was a blast.
It was fun.
yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Tune in next week for more podcast stuff. I don't know. This is the best part. Like, you never know how to start it and you never know how to end it. So it's like the end. I don't know. Caleb, take us away.
Do you have a tag that you can end with?
That would be a good idea.
We can end with
We're gonna end with Curtis singing a cappella. No, I'm just.
he was breathing. He might have done it.
I keep stopping him right before he does it.
No, y'all would copyright it.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't sing a song like what I said. Go tell it on the mountain. It had to be go say it from the hill.
There you go.
Stay away from copyright.
Yeah.
That one's gonna be there. It's just like, it's a good way. So, well, thanks. I mean, we've really enjoyed this. I'm excited about it. And
I guess again, plug your.
Oh yeah,
plug
you got
your
anything?
podcast,
Where can we find out about you,
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes, you could Instagram, YouTube, record the episodes, Buzzsprout. What are the other Apple Podcasts?
Yeah. Maybe Spotify.
Spotify. It's on Spotify as well.
yeah.
So yeah.
Equipped podcast.
Yep.
And people can hear you preach. There actually are YouTube videos of you preaching as well.
Oh, there are, yes.
Yeah.
Different, because churches now record their sermons.
I've seen you
put them
preach,
on YouTube.
yeah, several times, and I don't remember what channel that was on, but
Yeah, I don't.
I don't remember.
It was probably at a church. Yeah, it was probably one of the churches we were
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
So that's where you find you on those social medias that are evil. You don't have to deal with them. That's because like the only thing I was thinking about during that whole conversation is here in just a little bit, like at the end we'd have like a little clip where I say stuff and then Caleb says something about Patreon, right? And then that's like, please like and share us on your social media accounts. It's like, great. Yep, those evil things. Follow us, follow Kurtis, follow us, do it all on
We're
those.
providing a good source
Hail
amongst all
right
the
there.
evil sources.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Well, sweet. All right, well, thank you, Kurtis, and this is the end. Thank you guys for listening to Raising the Wild Ones podcast. I know me and Caleb sure had a ton of fun making this episode and just kind of going on our rants and stuff like that. And I just wanted to hop in real quick and be sure to remind you guys to like the podcast, share the podcast, tell your friends about the podcast, tell your cats, dogs, everybody. Tell your fishing and hunting buddies, right? I know it's hunting season, and during hunting season, you do a lot of just like sitting around and hanging out, and just tell them about this podcast and tell anybody you think would like to hear our podcast about us. And please also, if you'd like to, just drop us a line at raisingwildonespodcast@gmail.com. Tell us about future episodes you would want us to talk about, and also just let us know what you think in general about our podcast. We would love to hear from you guys, and we just thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to reach out and bring you some exciting news. Our Patreon is now live. Patreon is a way to support this podcast so we can keep it going. For $6 a month, which is the cost of a cup of coffee, you get exclusive content that is for members only. This includes special episodes, show notes, and early release of our upcoming episodes. As we grow, more will become available through our membership. Another exciting thing is that we will donate $1 out of the $6 membership fee to missions. This money will go into the hands of missionaries on the ground doing the Lord's work. We are working on this and will hopefully have a podcast episode where we interview the missionary soon, so stay tuned for this. So go to patreon.com/Raising the Wild Ones podcast, or click on the link to our Patreon site in the show notes below. Thank you for supporting this podcast, and God bless.